Hello everyone and welcome to the New York Empoleon's Week 9 Team Builder of the GBA Season 9. We are taking on the New York Noibats coached by Mewtwo fan Nate, and we have a intra-state rivalry. I don't live in New York, spoilers, but my team is from New York, and this is the battle for New York. So clearly, this is the one that matters. Can't just go easy anyway. Now, as I've said before, and will always continue to say, I am not the kind of person who's going to give up just because I am eliminated. If you missed last week's battle, I was officially eliminated from my own playoff contention, but Nate still has a chance to make playoffs, so I will play a real game, hard, to try my best to play Spoiler. Spoiler can be the most fun role to play because there's not a lot of pressure on you, and you can still actually affect the standings. So, obviously, my goal is to be the best team from New York, even though I'm not from New York. So we're going to make sure that Nate knows that we are the best team from New York. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to go up against his team, which is Mewtwo, Naganadel, Skarmory, Sylveon, Mega Gyarados, Terrakion, Arcanine, Seismitoad, Decidueye, Tornadus Eye, and Galvantula, with Terrakion and Torn Eye being his two possible Z users. And right off the bat, well, I forgot to say it, but go check out his link is in the description below. Go check out his channel, and so make sure you guys drop over there, give him a sub, hang out, have some fun. He's a good dude. Been having some fun talky talks on the side. So, anyway, obviously Mewtwo is terrifying. That's the first thing you notice. Mewtwo is a horrifying threat to everybody and everything. Base 130 speed is not to be messed around with, and it is something that is going to be obnoxious to deal with. Now, I do have the Mega Beedrill, which does outspeed, but I'm actually not going to be bringing it. As you're going to see, I have gone a completely different route, and those of you who are particularly Hawkeyed may already know what that is. This Donphan, which underspeeds his slowest mon naturally, which is Sylveon, is actually a sassy nature. We are going to be rocking out the Assault Vest with otherwise max attack and max special defense, since that's what boosts the Assault Vest the most. This thing should be able to take a hit from whatever. Obviously, Sturdy allows it to take a hit from whatever, but it will be able to take a hit from Naganadel from full, or even just under full if its Sturdy is broken like rocks, and is able to get an attack off. Naganadel does not like taking a max attack Earthquake. I will tell you that right now. Even Terrakion does not appreciate taking a max attack Earthquake. Arcanine also, his ground weakness was noticeable that I decided, let's go with this. Seed Bomb is mostly there for Seismitoad bait, since this thing otherwise doesn't really have a way to break through that, but the Seed Bomb with the Assault Vest allows me to take one hit from the Seismitoad. Again, this thing can sort of just take one hit, get a kill, and that's actually a pretty good trade for a Donphan. If needed, that hit can be from the Mewtwo. I can go for a knockoff. It will not kill. It'll do about 50%, but it'll knock off whatever item that Mewtwo's holding, and that can be incredibly useful for the late game. Not to mention, this is my Rapid Spinner, so if it does need to take the hit and go for the spin, that is something it has the opportunity to do. Next up, we are going to be rocking out the Reshiram this week for the second time. I just picked it up. I might as well use it. Dragon Pulse, Earth Power, Blue Flare, and Roost with the Shuka Berry. This thing can take a hit, and it's actually a very bulky mon. It has some obnoxious weaknesses. The Fire typing definitely giving it the Rock weakness and the Ground weakness that it does not appreciate having. But neutral to Fairy and Ice, which is really nice. Not to mention, this thing is just a fantastic revenge killer. In general, Shuka Berry will allow it to tank that hit it needs to take from things like the Mega Gyarados or Terrakion that want to go for the ground type attack. Terrakion, I'm only guessing will. If Terrakion comes, it probably goes for a rock type attack, to be perfectly honest, but that's fine. Or Seismitoad also is not able to do much with that ground type attack. Roost can be useful against slower threats like the Decidueye, which this thing is pretty safe against. The Arcanine, pending what spread it is, this thing does not care too much about, and the Skarmory makes it a little bit harder to wear down as long as I have the Roost. And we're going to really, fingers crossed, hope we land Blue Flares. I mean, we're using a Reshiram. We're going to be clicking Blue Flare. I missed a Focus Blast last week. We'll see how we do with Blue Flares. Next up, we have the Zapdos, which is going to be Bold Nature this week. Thunderbolt, Toxic Roost, and Defog. Toxic is just to spread it on all of the things that generally want to switch into the Zapdos, since his real only immunity to Toxic is Naganadel and Skarmory. Naganadel might switch in on the Zapdos, but even then, it doesn't really would want to eat a Thunderbolt. And Toxic, Skarmory's never going to stay in or switch in, so Toxic hits everything else in his team. And so I figured Seismitoad that wants to come in, Decidueye that might want to come in, Terrakion, Arcanine. Let's just get Toxics. Let's just spread that status a little bit. We are going to be able to Roost off some damage, defog away some hazards. I do have both Rapid Spin and Defog this week because he has really good hazard setters against my team, and Webs while not a problem, are annoying. Next up, we have Ditto, which is going to be Scarf Ditto this week, and HP, I can check what hidden power I'm running. This Ditto is going to be rocking out with the hidden power Grass this week, taking on things like the Seismitoad as potential switch-ins, and the Mega Gyarados, and the Terrakion. I mean, he does have a decent grass weakness. It doesn't really hit things like the Naganadel, but again, I don't think I'm going to be clicking hidden power, unless I'm really predicting that Naganadel to switch out on my Ditto. Now, Ditto does have a decent matchup, being able to outspeed Naganadel no matter what, whether it's speed boosting or special attack boosting, and Mewtwo, as long as they aren't Scarf, and being able to hit them with whatever moves they have, or at least scouting out whatever moves they have so I know what my state switches are. Those are going to be incredibly useful assets for me to have on my team. Ditto is not my sweeper this week. Ditto, I have to play it correctly. Excuse me. And if you guys don't know, the reason I love Ditto so much is that it is one of the best, if not the best, jack of all trades in the entire format, because it's oftentimes able to be a great revenge killer, right? That's what Ditto is mostly used for, and most people use Ditto to come in, kill whatever's in with a Choice Scarf, and then switch out again. Get a lot of information. This Ditto is actually more of a breaker. It's more of a prediction-heavy not revenge killer, but prediction-heavy information-gaining breaker. So if he's in with his Arcanine, for instance, and he has hidden power for whatever reason, I might click it with the HP Grass, knowing that he's going to go into the Seismitoad. If he has Naganadel in, and he's got a Poison-type move, or a Dragon-type move, and I think he's going to go with Sylveon, I have to click the Poison-type move. Those kind of things are going to be paramount to me utilizing this Ditto correctly, because this matchup, Ditto's matchup here is questionable, but it stops setup threats like the Mega Gyarados, the Mewtwo, the Naganadel, things like that. I need to have it just in case, but for the most part, if those don't start setting up, then I will be able to utilize this Ditto in a completely different way, which is just to say I will be using it not as a revenge killer, but as an information gaining pivot and breaker. Next up, we have Necrozma, the second of the 3 transactions I made last week, which is going to be it's going to be my Stealth Rock user this week. With Stealth Rock, Trick Room, Photon Geyser, and Knockoff, it is going to be, as you can see on there, attack, not special attack, invested. So Brave Nature with 0 speed makes it so that this thing is going to be a very effective user of Trick Room. The only thing that would underspeed it potentially would be the Sylveon, and otherwise I can underspeed everything else on his team, and that's only if the Sylveon is running a negative speed nature of some kind. Photon Geyser is actually incredible against his team, with Knockoff being coverage for basically the Mewtwo. And being able to knock off whatever item that has. If I can get a Trick Room up, the Terrakion switches in, and I go for a knockoff, it gets to +1. Photon Geyser is still going to do a ton of damage to it. And that Trick Room is not for the Necrozma anyway. It's not even really for the Donphan, though the Donphan can certainly take advantage of it. That Trick Room is for Stakataka. Making his debut as a New York Empoleon, we are going to be utilizing another Trick Room setter this week, so I have double Trick Room setters just to make sure that I can get it up and keep it up. Gyro Ball, Stone Edge, Trick Room, and Superpower. Barring things like Focus Blast or Superpower Mewtwo, this thing can set up on the Naganadel. It takes an HP fighting even after rocks. Can set up on the Skarmory, can set up on the Sylveon, can set up on the Seismitoad. I can take an EQ if he doesn't have attack investment. It definitely sets up on the Decidueye. Torn Eye doesn't do anything to me without Focus Blast. So we are going to be... This thing literally gets probably about 3 kills if I can get a Trick Room off. This thing, Gyro Ball kills everything fast on his team. Those that Gyro Ball doesn't kill, Stone Edge kills. Gyro Ball doesn't quite kill a Mewtwo from full, so Z Stone Edge, that does. And then if I can't kill with Gyro Ball or Stone Edge, things like the Mega Gyarados, well, that's why I'm running Superpower. I do have the Lonely Nature with the to make it so that my attack and is higher than my defense, or at least equal to my defense. Hopefully that works out. It doesn't show that way here, and if that's wrong, then there's not much I can do. It's just a misgen. It is what it is. But I did have the 17 IVs in defense and the Lonely Nature to make sure that I was going to get an attack boost, and I'm not sure when this goes down to level 50 if those will be equal. I will definitely check during the battle. But that's the idea of it. And otherwise, this is going to be my my sweeper. This is the thing that is going to hopefully win me the game. Even if it doesn't get the attack boost, it doesn't really need it for that much. It's just that if it gets to +1, nothing lives at all. Whereas if it doesn't get to +1, it needs the Rocky MC for a couple of things. That's not a big deal. So I don't need it. And defense boost actually can be incredibly useful against things like the Mega Gyarados. So it's not the end of the world if it is defense, but I do have to keep in mind that it might be because of the misgen there. Again, not the end of the world if it is. That's the team for this week. Hopefully it goes well. We're using all 3 of our transactions from a couple weeks ago, so hopefully everything goes as according to plan, and we are able to prove that we are the best New York team in the GBA Season 9. I will see you guys back here tomorrow with that battle. Take care, everybody.